Welcome back to our journey with Queen. Last time we left the band on the cusp of something big. Now let's dive into the years that turned them into rock royalty. The year is 1974. The lights of the BBC as top of the Pop's Yishi studio are blinding, but Queen is ready. Dressed in striking black and white, they launch into a mimed performance of Seas of Rhye. Freddie Mercury, born for this very moment, doesn't just sing to the camera. He seizes it, and with it, the attention of an entire nation. His charisma is undeniable, magnetic. The effect is instantaneous. The single, rushed into release, storms to number 10 on the UK charts. Queen has their first real hit. This success was everything. Freddie triumphantly quit his job selling clothes at Kensington Market, finally free to dedicate his life to the band. Suddenly, the public was digging into their past. Their debut album started climbing the charts, and their brand new second album, the complex and ambitious Queen, soared to number 5. In just a few weeks, they had transformed from relative obscurity into one of Britain's hottest new acts. The momentum was unstoppable. In April 1974, they landed a dream gig, their first American tour, opening for glam rock heroes Mott the Hoople. Their U.S. debut at Regis College in Denver was a shock to the system for the conservative audience. Queen's opulent, heavy, and theatrical performance was met with stunned silence. But by the end of the set, that silence had erupted into a roar. The band was called back for 2 encores. They were conquering America, one city at a time. But then, disaster. On May 11, 1974, after their final show in New York City, Brian May collapsed. He was rushed to the hospital and diagnosed with hepatitis from a contaminated vaccine needle. With their guitarist gravely ill, the band had no choice but to cancel the rest of the tour. It was a devastating blow to their American dreams. As Brian began a slow recovery, he was struck down again, this time by a duodenal ulcer that required emergency surgery. The band's future was hanging by a thread. A lesser band might have crumbled. With their lead guitarist and a key songwriter out of action, Queen could have just waited. Instead, they adapted. Freddie, Roger, and John went into the studio to start work on their third album, Sheer Heart Attack. Their approach was revolutionary. They wrote and arranged the songs but deliberately left empty spaces in the music, gaps in the sonic tapestry where they knew Brian's solos and harmonies would eventually go. It was an incredible act of musical faith, a testament to how deeply connected they were. They were composing around a missing limb, hearing the phantom parts in their heads. When he was well enough, Brian would leave his hospital bed, travel to the studio, and fill in the blanks, laying down his signature guitar work. The result was an album that was tighter and more diverse than anything they'd done before. At its heart was Killer Queen, a perfect slice of champagne-soaked pop that Freddie wrote in a single night. It became a massive hit, reaching number 2 in the UK and finally breaking them into the top 20 in America. Brian later called it the turning point, the song that truly defined their unique style, but even as their fame exploded, they were broke. Their contract with Trident Studios and its owner, Norman Sheffield, was crippling. Roger Taylor recalled watching Sheffield buy his third Rolls-Royce while the band members were practically penniless. The breaking point came when John Deacon, newly married, was refused a modest $4,000 advance to put a deposit on a family home. That injustice ignited a fire in Freddie. He channeled all his rage into a new song, a venomous operatic takedown of Sheffield. He wanted the lyrics to be as coarse as possible, and he delivered. The song was Death on Two Legs, dedicated to. The other band members were shocked by the sheer vitriol, but they stood by Freddie. They had all suffered, and this was their declaration of war. When Sheffield eventually heard the track, recorded in his own studio, he was appalled and sued for defamation. The resulting settlement only served to publicly confirm who the song was about. The war with Trident needed a general. In 1975, they hired John Reid, the formidable manager of Elton John. His first words to them were a balm to their souls. "I'll take care of the business. You make the best record you can." Reed skillfully freed them from their toxic contract, and Queen signed a new deal directly with EMI. Finally, in control of their destiny, they decided to make a statement. They would create the most elaborate, expensive, and ambitious album the world had ever seen. They called it A Night at the Opera. Its centerpiece was to be an epic Freddie had been piecing together for years, a multi-part suite combining balladry, opera, and hard rock. On August 24, 1975, they began recording Bohemian Rhapsody at a residential farm studio in Wales. The process was, in the words of producer Roy Thomas Baker, totally insane. The legendary operatic section required the band to sing for up to 12 hours a day, layering their voices again and again until they had 180 separate vocal overdubs. They ran the master tape over the recording head so many times that it became almost transparent. After weeks of relentless work, the masterpiece was complete. Exhausted but triumphant, they presented the final 6-minute track to their new manager and the EMI executives. The room fell silent. The faces of the record label suits were a mixture of confusion and horror. "It's too long," one of them finally said. "Radio stations will never play it. It needs to be cut." Freddie's response was swift and absolute. "We're not cutting a single second." The band had gambled everything on this one audacious track, and the label refused to release it as a single. But Freddie had a plan. That night he went to dinner with his close friend, the hugely influential Capital Radio DJ, Kenny Everett. He brought a copy of the song with him. With a mischievous glint in his eye, he handed it over. "I've got a little something for you, dear," Freddie purred. "But it's just for you, for your ears only. Whatever you do, don't play it on the air." What happened next would change music history forever. We'll find out in the next part of our story. Thanks for watching, and if you're enjoying this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. See you next time.